Welcome back to part 13 of Restoring a Classic Mini. Initially I was going to add this as a Q&A video separate to the series, but then realised there might be some footage that I'd taken that was relevant to the build that I'd not uploaded yet, or at least I think I hadn't. Now if I've covered any of this in a previous video then I do apologise, but so much has been going on these last few months that my head seems to be in the clouds at the moment. So basically this episode is an update as to where I'm at with the build. If you've been following the series so far, then you'll remember that all my plans changed after discovering a stream running under the house during a new workshop build which took all the funds that I had for the restoration. This obviously meant then going it alone, as the money that I had set aside was for a professional to restore the Mini. But just as things were starting to move along nicely, the pandemic struck. Now I have to be honest, and I admit that after everything that I've seen and gone through from working previously as a firefighter, this sort of knocked me for six and I pretty much locked myself away. That of course has its bonuses, but it doesn't get the car built. This resulted in a lot of people asking me where I was, if I was okay, and whether or not I was continuing with the restoration. It was a pleasant surprise to know that there's so many people following the channel who were genuinely concerned, so I thought it somewhat relevant to add this update to the series to show where I'm at with the restoration. So with loads of mini bits lying around the garden, I first needed to get everything tidied up ready for stripping down and restoring. The rear subframe's goosed far beyond repair, so I'll need to buy a new one. The front looks okay, and as you saw in a previous episode, I stripped that down and started working on restoring some of the parts. Now the garden was really dangerous and we kept tripping over missing flags and slipping on patches of oil that had been left by the Mini being in the garden. My missus was able to find the funds to purchase all the bits we needed to repair the ground, so whilst it took me a few weeks to sort, the area is now a lot safer, although it still needs a good cleaning. So this took a fair bit of my time to do and kept me away from the car unfortunately. The missus kindly lent me a few quid for a new floor and toe board to get the restoration started. I bought all the parts from Minisport and opted to buy the whole Heritage floor and the Heritage toe board. The existing floor is in such a poor state with umpteen repairs that I thought it'd be great to have a nice new shiny floor to work from. The toe board is severely pitted and it's full of tiny holes, so it made sense to get the toe board replaced at the same time. Now unfortunately I have a lack of tools for this kind of work, so I've been having to post questions on the forums to see what tools might be required, and I've been reading through as many repair manuals as I can to see how I go about replacing everything. If you know me from the Facebook groups, you'll know how long I've been putting this off, as I know that once I make my first cut then there's no turning back. But the other problem that I had was that most of the work needs to be done outside, and with what's been going on in the world right now, it's kind of freaked me out a little bit and I've been a little bit apprehensive to start working outside. The knock-on effect also meant that although I'd wrapped up the engine onto a pallet to send to Crafted Classics, it's still here, as it required me to get a courier to come to the house and pick it up, which I was a little bit nervous about, so I've yet to find a way around that, so that I can get that sorted and sent. And it also meant that I wasn't able to get my subframe blasted and powder coated, as that meant venturing outside as well. Now I did try cleaning it up myself, but it seemed like it was going to take forever. But fear not, as they say. You may remember Dennis from Classic and Retro Restorations. He was in one of my earlier videos and he was originally set to restore the car before I lost all my budget. Well, Dennis kindly offered to collect the subframe and take it to the local blasters for cleaning and coating. He had originally suggested that I could drop it off at his garage, but knowing the issues that I was having, he kindly came and collected it, and I can't thank him enough. So that's due for being dropped back off in about 3 weeks' time. So in the meantime, I got myself a list together of some of the tools that I need to work on the car. It's taken a while to order them because with little funds available, the only way that I've been able to make any purchases is by first selling some of the tools that I don't need or use anymore to help fund the tools that I do need to buy. So basically I'm now waiting on the subframe to be returned, and once all the tools have arrived, first job is going to be bracing the car with these bars and fitting the toe board. Once the toe board's in place, it gives me 2 solid places to attach the floor, as everything around it is really badly rotted. I'm then hoping that this will give me something solid to start working from, at which point I'll start working my way up, or from back to front. I know there'll be others who may tackle this a little bit differently, but this way seems to be the only way that I can see myself managing it comfortably. So fingers crossed, episode 14 should be uploaded within the next couple of weeks and I'll have my first panel in position. I'll have a couple of new toys to play with and my subframe should be back from the blasters and looking nice and shiny. So thanks again for watching the series, and if you have any questions on the project or you see me about to make a huge mistake or something, then by all means please let me know in the comments or on the forums. At the end of the day, I'm just a beginner when it comes to restoring a Mini, and I seem to be learning something new every day. I'll not take any offence on any of the suggestions, as ultimately it's about building the best Mini that I possibly can, and I'll be the first to admit I probably can't go it alone. Prior to making the videos on YouTube, I worked as a firefighter for nearly 20 years, serving my community and helping to save lives and promote the fire safety message. Unfortunately, an accumulation of many upsetting scenes became too much for my mind to cope with, and after years of failed therapy I was retired from the service on the grounds of ill health and signed off medically from any employment. To keep myself busy, both body and mind, I developed an interest in woodworking and car mechanics, and with already having a hobby in filming and music, I combined my interests and started making videos here on YouTube, filming, editing and composing my own music for my woodworking and car restoration channels Smugwood and Smugwood Mini. Unfortunately, to produce such videos comes at a price, and with minimal funds after being retired from employment, I've turned to Patreon to see if there is additional support out there which could allow me to continue making the woodworking and car restoration videos. In return for support, there are various levels which are explained in more depth at the Patreon link below, but includes the chance to win one of my YouTube projects made throughout the year, and also inclusion into random prize draws open to patrons only. In addition, I'd like to thank everybody who already subscribes to my channels, or watches, comments, likes and shares them, as it all goes to help support my channels, and for that I'm really appreciative. It's my hope that I can continue making the videos for the foreseeable future. Thanks once again for your continued support.